Hi, everybody. This is supplementary material for our wrap-up video of series issues in the media that we're posting on November 10th. In this video, I'm talking about the episodes that we did not get to review for this review series. Mostly, these are episodes that I watched in the 90s and early 2000s of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Friends, and other shows that we didn't get to talk about. So, in our top 20 ranking of shows that we have discussed, the first show I wanted to talk about in this supplementary video this evening is As Told by Ginger, and She Was Gone. So, for those of you who do not remember As Told by Ginger, it was on Nickelodeon from like 2002 to 2006. And in this video, in this episode, Ginger writes a poem that has kind of a depressed feeling to it, and her teacher asks her to go to the counselor because her classmates are worried that she's suicidal. And I remember seeing this episode, and I didn't know anything about depression or suicide or know of anybody who was suicidal or anything like that. So I think for the time period that this episode aired, it was a really powerful and thought-provoking episode of the emotions that people go through when they're depressed or suicidal. But of course, Ginger is not suicidal in this episode, but her friends think that she is. As Told by Ginger was a cartoon that was made by the same people who made Rugrats. And out of all the classic Super cartoons, Rugrats and As Told by Ginger were my favorite of those shows. So the next episode that I'm going to mention is talks about death, and it is the one where Heckles dies in season 2 of Friends. This is the one where Monica and Rachel's downstairs curmudgeon-y neighbor, Mr. Heckles, passes away, and the stuff in his apartment is left to Monica and Rachel, and Monica, Rachel, Joey, Chandler, and Phoebe go down to clean it out. And in this episode, Chandler has an anxiety attack about growing older and becoming like Mr. Heckles because he's worried he's never going to find somebody to be in a relationship with because he has he's hopeless and awkward and desperate for love, and he has trouble like maintaining good relationships because of his I don't know if it was because of his anxiety or whatever. But, I mean, when I watched this episode a couple of months ago, I was really, I wanted to reach through the TV screen and hug Chandler just because I felt so bad for him. And the scene that really got to me in this episode is at the very end where Chandler is closing the light in Mr. Heckles' apartment and says, "Goodbye, Mr. Heckles. We'll try to keep it down." And I was like, oh. That scene and the scene in the one with the birth mother where Chandler talks to Erica about Monica being a mother without a baby are my two favorite, most emotional Matthew Perry scenes besides Monica and Chandler's proposal and wedding. The next serious issue that we did not discuss is body shaming. Body shaming is featured in Friends and in a lot of in several different episodes where it's focuses on how heavy Monica was when she was younger. This featured in the one with the prom video and the one with the one that could have been, and the one with all the Thanksgivings, when it flashes back to when Monica and Ross are still in the prom video. Monica is overweight in the prom video because it's obviously her high school prom. And then the one that could have been is an alternate universe episode where Monica is overweight. And like, Monica's weight was kind of used as a punchline in Friends. And that's one thing I really hated about this show, was that it wasn't a very body positive, progressive thing for the writers to do, to insult overweight people like that. And I hated that. And I really felt bad for Monica too, because I feel like a lot of people bullied her, or could have bullied her when she was younger. Another episode that talks about body shaming is She and Heavy from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. In this episode, Queen Latifah guest stars as somebody who dates Will, and Will is kind of really rude to Queen Latifah's character because she's overweight, and I really did not like how rude Will was. This episode aired in like the mid-90s, so I was in high school by then, and yeah, I hated how Will treated Queen Latifah's character in this episode. I thought he was really rude. Another Fresh Prince of Bel-Air episode I wanted to mention is called A Heart Attack Is Not Home. This focuses on mortality, and in this episode, Uncle Phil has a heart attack, and Carlton has a hard time dealing with it because he's worried about his dad dying of the heart attack. If people don't remember this episode, I'm going to offer a spoiler. Uncle Phil doesn't die of the heart attack, luckily, but it really opens Carlton's eyes to realize like what life would be like without his dad, and he ends up appreciating him more for it. That's what I took away from it anyway. I don't know if people assessed that episode differently than me, if you remember watching it. Another episode that was from a show that we did not get to review for this review series was I Done, which was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air episode, the series finale, where the Banks family is selling their mansion and Phil and Will is going off to college. I remember crying during this episode because I had grown so used to seeing all of these characters be together and they were splitting up, kind of similar to what happens in the last one for Friends, where they're all heading off in different directions. And the most heartwarming part of this episode was when Uncle Phil says goodbye to Will, and he says, "You're like my son." Like, that really got to me. And the last episode that was an honorable mention in our top 20 list was I'm So Excited from Saved by the Bell. This episode focuses on substance use disorder, and in it, Jessie, who was played by Elizabeth Berkley, she's really like high-strung and anxious for doing well on a test, so she takes caffeine pills and overdoses on them, and Zach and Slater are really good friends to her in this episode, and they look out for her and tell her to stop taking the drugs, but she doesn't listen and she overdoses. And I'm pretty sure if I remember this episode correctly, I'm not sure if I'm remembering it the right way because I haven't seen it in a long time, but I think that Zach takes her to the doctor so she can get her substance use figured out, but I don't remember. If people remember this episode better than me, please leave me a comment. And there was another episode about substance use disorder, actually. It was from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and it's when Will is given pills to also, like, make sure he's able to take a test properly, but Carlton actually ends up taking them by mistake, thinking that they're vitamins and not caffeine pills, and he overdoses and it has to go to the hospital because he has a pretty bad reaction to the pills. And I felt really bad in this episode that Carlton wasn't aware that the caffeine pills were actually dangerous pills and not vitamins. And I also wondered why Carlton was going into Will's locker. I just thought that was weird. But yeah, so the other episodes and movies in our top 20 list we will be going over in our video, but I just wanted to talk about these episodes because they were episodes from, as I was saying, they are episodes from shows that we did not. Some episodes are episodes that we did not watch for these review series, or they are episodes like the episodes from Friends. For example, like the last one, which we are going to talk about in the video. That's also an honorable mention on our list. So that's going to be talked about in the section in our video about moving on in transitions. So yes, I also wanted to talk about I wanted to mention what we're going to talk about in our wrap-up video of serious issues in the media. The topics we're talking about are climate change, and we will be talking about WALL-E. We are going to be talking about intergenerational trauma and talking about Encanto, and also talking about a fan theory that I heard on Matt Pat's channel that Dolores is actually the villain, which I thought was interesting. We are going to be talking about death and grief, and we are going to be reviewing 2 episodes from The Muppet Show, Remembering Jim Henson and Understanding Each Other. We are watching Understanding Each Other to remember Harry Belafonte, who passed away earlier this year, who was the guest star in that episode. We are also watching Coco. And then when we talk about depression, we're going to be watching Inside Out and Frozen 2. And in Frozen 2, I'm going to talk about how I connected the most to Anna's character, and no spoilers, I'm not going to say how. I will say that in the review. We are also going to, for moving on in transitions, we are going to be talking about the Muppet Show episode, Halfway Down the Stairs, and we are going to be talking about the Friends finale, the last one. So yes, tune in to our video. It's going to be up on Matt's YouTube channel on November 10th at 4 p.m. So thank you for tuning in. And the next supplementary video I will be posting will be about the reviews of Brigadoon and Spamalot, and also Halloween and thriller movies. So stay tuned for that. That is coming on November 5th. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week.